Welcome to another episode of the Decoding Cross-Border Ecommerce podcast. Aaron, we're on the same side of the table again.
Yes, we
did this last time.
I love this. I love it.
It's just they're pouring into St. George, our visitors.
Why are they coming here in the middle of the summer, though?
I don't know. I don't think we don't tell them about the weather.
Yeah.
Well, David from the Universal Postal Union is here directly from Switzerland. How are you doing, David?
Good morning. Well, first, thanks for having me. I feel great. Thank you. I like heat. So
you like the heat, huh? All right.
Yeah.
So that's why you came here in the summer.
Yes. I love the heat myself, and heat being I might get to 110, in the summer here. It's actually been a little cooler than that. So, we've been at around 100. That's nothing. That's easy.
Well, that's in Fahrenheit, but David's he doesn't.
Celsius, I don't.
Can you convert between Celsius and Fahrenheit?
Yeah, roughly. I think we are talking about 37 to 40 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for doing that
Which
for
is
us.
pretty good. That's pretty good. So, and I think I'm excited to talk to David and just kind of get an understanding of where he's from. And
well, okay. First off, why in the world is Universal Postal Union here? They're a customer of ours, so we've been working with the Universal Postal Union now for a couple years, two years or so. Does that sound about right?
Yes, but we have launched this tendering process at the end of 24 and contracted officially just a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So real quick, what was that tender process and what did you select Zonos to do? And then we want to talk a little bit about you, but we just want to connect the dots why we work together in the first place.
Yeah. So the reason for tendering was the immediate need was to find a solution for HS code classification. Because it's becoming, we knew from the start that it was becoming mandatory in the UPU context. It's not until now, but we knew that the deadline will be approaching for the 1st of September this year, where each country can actually decide to have the HS being mandatory. So we needed to prepare our systems.
Okay.
So we have a number of technologies already for helping the post to, for example, collect declaration, but we were missing this piece.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, we're glad we're able to help. Aaron, it's first time for everything. Guess what I brought today?
No.
Yeah. I've never had one in, I mean, I've had one. It's not during the podcast. I haven't had one in like a couple of years. So
I'm proud of you.
Bouncing off the walls here at the end of the podcast. We know why.
That's awesome. All right.
You go ahead. You had the question about his history and
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you grew up and where you live now.
Okay. So I'm a little bit of a dinosaur in the UPU because I've been around the UPU for already almost 30 years. Okay.
So you've worked at the UPU for 30 years.
I was involved in UPU matters for 30 years.
Okay.
So 30 years ago, and the anniversary will be exactly in September. It's not the reason why they organized the Congress. It's not to celebrate that, but it just matched the date of the Congress this year. 30 years ago, I was recruited by a French company. I'm French originally. And I was recruited by a French startup who was having a contract with the UPU to develop what became the IPS.
So you've seen IPS since the beginning.
Absolutely.
Well, okay, what is IPS?
So IPS is still our flagship product, I will say. So IPS is the solution we have developed in the Postal Technology Center, which is the IT branch of the UPU, for helping the post to process international mail. So, there's a lot of regulations in the UPU, how the mail has to be prepared, what kind of documentation needs to be included in the bag, what kind of data needs to be collected and sent over. So it makes sense to have a solution developed by the UPU, standardized, matching the UPU regulations and standard. So something pretty standard that we deploy all over the world. That was the vision at this time.
Hold on a sec. So you're part of the PTC, which is the technology branch of the UPU.
Yeah.
How long has that branch been in existence?
So pretty much when I joined.
Okay, that's
pretty much when I joined. So again, 30 years ago, so exactly in 95, I was recruited by this French company. We did the first version. We started to have the first deployment. It was, if I remember well, the first one was Australia and Argentina post. And then 2.5 years after, the UPU offered me to make the switch, basically. because it was starting to grow. They needed to have some in-house resources to maintain the system, to give technical support. And that's how I made the transition. And that's how the PTC started to grow.
So you were the OG. You were the original PTC member.
This is a lot of acronyms.
This is pretty good.
Not alone, but I'm the survivor, let's say.
Yes.
You're the one
Okay.
left.
Okay. Is that when you moved to Switzerland then?
Exactly. So I moved exactly 27 years ago to Switzerland. Yeah. So I like it. It's half of my life now.
Yeah.
And it's a great place to be.
So I know I'm getting old when he mentions 1995, and that I'm like, oh, that's not that long ago. But then it tells me it's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
95, that's not very long ago, right? Those were the glory days of the 90s. But when you put it in context of it being 30 years ago, holy cow, time flies. So when it comes to Switzerland, I've never been there.
You're
never
missing
been
something.
there.
You have to.
I that's one of my all-time bucket lists. I need to get there, but I've been around it, but for some reason, I've never been to Switzerland. So
They didn't invite you to speak at the Universal Postal. I'm sorry, at the UN. Aaron.
yes, so you've been to Switzerland. then.
I have. So
Tell me
I
about
I got an invitation to go speak at the UN, which was super cool. So we did, a big, we had some social media that went out, and my wife's, bragging to the neighbors. So I go to the UN, and which is really cool to go to. I mean, it is. It's pretty neat. And I remember going into the building where I was going to have my little session that I was doing. I think there were about 2 people in this session that watched. So there's like nobody there. So we talked to, very few people were at the UN but it was a great social media post.
And then I hear you had a good meal while you were in Switzerland.
So yeah,
too.
we have a customer, Villa they do swimsuits, e-commerce customer, because we work with e-commerce customers, and Villa VBQ, we call them because I can say that word, and I probably pronounced their company name wrong. They said, well, you got to have some liver. And so I said, okay.
Have you had liver since?
I've not.
Huh.
I've not.
Well, as I was prepping for this, I'm here thinking Switzerland. David brought us some amazing Swiss chocolate. By the
Yes,
way,
he did.
Which is
Thank you, David.
fantastic. And I was trying to come up with a joke about Swiss watches, but it was too time consuming. And do you know what they call a Swiss person who only speaks one language?
What?
A tourist.
Yeah, that's very true.
Oh, Aaron. Okay. Hopefully that's it for today. No, those are good though.
I've hit my joke quota. Okay,
Yes.
let's move on a little bit. So, did you grow up wanting to be part of the UPU PTC, one of the original members of the UPU? Like, when you grew up in France, what was kind of your aspirations, and what led you to this technology path?
Yeah, my training was technology, definitely. I'm an IT engineer. That's my initial, qualification. And after it's just by chance, let's say. And I say it's a chance. It's great to be part of the UPU, to be honest, because it's a small organization by UN standard, but we are covering the world. So we are really interacting with every single country, every single post in the world. So it's a nice opening. It's a nice place to be. I really enjoy it. And that's why I stayed that long.
Yeah, and that's the role of the UPU. You're there to support. How many posts rely on the UPU to help them with their technology or in some way, shape or form?
Yeah, it's really the full world, I must say.
Yeah.
So if I look now where we are with the PTC, pretty much every single post in the world is using at least one of our service.
Yeah.
And sometimes indirectly. For example, the network that we have, we don't connect every single post, but the one that we connect, thanks to that, they can exchange data with the posts that are connected to another network. So yeah, the answer is everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're in St. George, right? You flew out here, kind of short notice. Why? What's the urgency here? Why are you here visiting?
Well, yeah, we have an interesting topic, very interesting topic, because as you know, the regulations, they are changing, and now we see the US executive order coming up, and the need to have calculation paid from origin and tax and duties collected at origin. So it's a big shift.
Yeah.
It's a big shift for the post, because it's not how the system works today.
Yeah. There was back in February, there's the executive order originally when they were eliminating the de minimis, and the express carriers, UPS, FedEx, DHL, they were ready for this for the most part. I'm not saying it was easy for them, but they figured it out. The postal volume did not, and so what happened was, and I'm going to give the Larry story again for those
Let's do it.
The listeners of the pod that have probably heard this story before, but I was able to tour JFK and see the process of processing the international packages inbound, and when now duties need to be collected, right? Well, at the time, and even currently, there's an $800 de minimis, and so there's in the back inside of the warehouse, there's a section for Customs and Border Protection to assess the duties and come up with the HTS code, or into the U.S. And Larry, who has been at the Customs Border Protection a lot longer than you've been at the UPU, he takes a box, he puts it on his desk, and he just figures out what the HS code is, and then figures out the duty, slaps it on the box, and USPS has to go figure out how to collect money from customers, which is not their business, right? So what happened is those packages piled up at JFK. So then the administration said, halt. We're going to say when the secretary, which is Secretary of Department of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, when systems are in place, then likely there will probably be an executive order, that would bring de minimis back, right? So I think that's some of this anticipation. Also, the August 1st deadline is coming up for reciprocal tariffs. So there's just kind of this feeling, that things are starting to heat up, and it's time to get the post ready for DDP, right? And I think a lot of this podcast, is talking about building DDP for posts with the UPU, right? What is the UPU? How are you thinking about addressing some of these problems? And so we've been solutioning, the past couple of days on how we can help in this endeavor. But
I think on the DDP conversation, yes, the U.S. is kind of the catalyst for a lot of things happening, because there was other executive orders that are pushing the collection of duties in the postal stream upstream, not on delivery. So that's where our anticipation is that DDP is going to be required. Hey, these things need to be paid before they come in, not collected at the door on delivery. But DDP in general has been a buzzword within the postal community for various reasons. Kind of, what's your thoughts on why is this evolution happening and why posts are starting to really need to offer DDP solutions? Because historically, it's all been DDU, where duties are just collected at delivery.
Yeah. But it's part of the natural path, I will say. If we look at what we have observed during the last couple of years, there has been a big shift in the mail volumes. It used to be letters, as you know. Letters are gone, and they will not come back. Mm-hmm. And more we are talking about post-moving goods. So that was the first thing. And now when this line of business is developing, and the posts want to be more active in the e-commerce world, DDP is the only scalable solution. You cannot imagine to ship abroad and ask for tax collection at destination. It's not scalable. It's too complex to organize.
For the Americans that are listening to this, why is that such a problem? So explain it. You're in Switzerland. You were actually talking about this yesterday. Just the smaller country, so you get a lot of cross-border. So talk about that experience of having to pay upon delivery and why it's not scalable.
Problem is the scalability, because it's complex then to reach out to the recipient and ask him to pay something. It's also the customer experience, which is not great at all. If you're a customer shipping on the platform abroad and try to import something, and you lack the information. You ship and you pay for what you order. And then you get a second contact later on by your local post, like Swiss Post, for example, in my case, telling you, oh, by the way, yes, we deliver, but you have to pay the tax now. It's really not great.
Do they send you an email, a text, or what? How do they notify you?
Yeah, usually it's after the fact. So sometimes you take the risk to deliver the item upfront, and they invoice you later.
And then they try to get it later.
Yeah, I saw that. I experienced that myself. Sometimes they send you the bill before delivery. Yeah. But still, it's sometimes the surprise effect. So,
yes.
So you were not aware that there were any tax, and
then you're paying a tariff that you don't know where the goods were made. Possibly, you don't know what the tariff rate is on that particular item, and it seems like.
Well, and then on top of that, there's usually a collection fee charged by the post or the carrier, whoever's collecting it, that you don't know what that amount's going to be. And that's usually sometimes even more than the tariffs themselves.
One of the things UN has been, ahead of, and I think in the US, they've tried to do the same thing, which is eliminate surprise fees. I can't think of anything that is more of a surprise fee than after you buy something, like talk about a gotcha, right? And you don't know what that gotcha is going to be. It can vary so much. So, okay, that makes sense. All right. So back to, that's a good reason why it's not scalable, right? This is in the future, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I can't see how, we're continuing in this world of everything getting collected upon delivery.
Yeah. And, when I think of, DDP too, there's a competitive aspect to it as well. If you want more people to ship parcels with, the postal network, a lot of we've just seen the trend in e-commerce in general, looking to have the duties and taxes prepaid, not collected on delivery. And I assume that has to put some competitive pressure on the post to be able to offer that feature inside of their network.
Exactly. It's exactly as you said. And for us at the UPU, what we are facing at the moment is first to solve a solution for the emergency, because we know that in the US it's coming. But thinking global. So having a solution that is designed with enough flexibility, enough scalability to serve every single situation in the world. I just want to put the things in perspective. We are in a small city here. I mean, it's a very nice city, St. George, but by US standard, it's a small city, right? Imagine that the size of operation of USPS in St. George is probably more than the size of operation in many posts in the world.
Wow.
You will find quite a few posts in island economies, for example, or small landlocked countries that will have this size of operation or less. So if we don't come to them with a solution that is easy to deploy, as turnkey as possible, imagine those posts, they have to maintain actually all the same services like a large post, like a USPS. They have to have international relation. They need to come to the UPU to voice their concern, influence the decision. They need to have an international accounting department to settle invoices. All that are fixed costs that they have. So if we come to them with an additional burden with something overly complex for DDP, we are basically leaving them on the side of the road.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting challenge that's unique to the postal world, because the commercial space with your major express carriers and other consolidators, they control a lot of the network end to end and can create these DDP solutions with very few decision makers. But in the postal community, you've got hundreds of individual postal operators that all need to work together. And I assume that's where the UPU and the technology that you guys offer can be that glue to connect things together to create a PDDP offering. Is that fair to say?
Correct. And we are not starting from nothing, because we have those technologies that are already deployed. We talked about the IPS before, which again, it's in 190 instances all over the world. We have the CDS, or Customs Declaration System, which is the one we have integrated with you as part of this tender we discussed before. All those technologies are widespread. So if we bring the change for DDP out of the box of those platform, we can make the things happening very quick. And that's really what we've been working on for the last couple of days together. And that was very valuable to have those exchange with you.
Well, it feels like DDP would be a little more exciting than compliance. Seems like you're dealing with compliance a lot. So what's exciting about this for you? And why do you think Post can look at this as an opportunity versus because it is going to be painful, right? If there's transitioning to DDP. So as you think about this, what's exciting about it?
So that's a very good question, because if we look just at the recent past, what kept us busy for the last years now, it's what we call EAD compliance, electronic advanced data compliance. So again, compliance. So a new burden on Post that they had to collect for every single item containing goods, a fully formed customs declaration electronically, and send it over the network. And this declaration has to reach the destination post before the item gets shipped. So it was a major change linked to compliance that they had to comply with. If we bring the DDP with the same keyword, compliance, doesn't make it sexy at all, right? It's just another burden that they have to absorb just to maintain their business afloat.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's the right approach. I really believe that DDP is actually an opportunity, because compliance aside, it brings them to market for and again comparable to the competition.
Yes.
For offering e-commerce product.
Yeah.
And I think that's really how it should be communicated.
We're in the business of calculating duties and taxes, usually at checkout, helping the merchants collect the duties from the consumers, taking care of all the compliance around the money movement. What percentage of the shipments do you think that right now today, where we do duty and tax calculations, are going with Post?
Very few. I don't know. Do you want me to guess a number?
I don't know. Sure,
Okay.
for you, I'll take it.
Very
Less
few.
than 1%, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
And it's because of what you just said, David. We're talking to merchants, and the merchant wants to offer a solution so they're not surprising their customers. And now when they sign up with us and they're saying, hey, I want to calculate duties and taxes at checkout, it excludes all of these posts that don't have the ability to even support such a service. And this is where I think you're exactly right. It's an opportunity for them to now get new volume that they have lost in the past or never even had an opportunity to win, because customers want posts. I've talked with major platforms, technology platforms, shopping platforms, and they've said directly that they really want a postal DDP solution around the world because they need that, they support SMBs. And these SMBs a lot of times want to use a post. And instead, sometimes they're stuck with they don't have a ton of volume, but they don't get a big discount. They have to ship this with an express carrier or another service. Because a lot of times, if you want to get like a consolidated postal service, you have to have volume to do that. So the posts have a really big opportunity here, I think, to grow their business with a DDP, solution.
Absolutely. And for the UPU, it's one of the big concerns is to see that the volumes have disappeared.
Yeah.
So I said there was this transition from letter to parcel to shipping goods, but at the same time, the volume have decreased, and the volume didn't disappear. They are just in another channel.
Yes.
So
and DDU is so cost prohibitive in postal because those collection upon delivery fees are so high, and like you said, it's burdensome for you, and so merchants don't want it. It's expensive. DDP totally changes the whole cost structure as well, so the costs go down, and I see. And I'm saying it again, you said it, growth will be there for the posts that offer a DDP solution around the world. What does a dream DDP solution look like for you? As you're now, and I'm sure you're dreaming about it now at this point, right? So how? how would you like to see, and how do you envision the UPU coming to market with a product to help posts, to help merchants offer DDP, not just into the US when a change happens with de minimis in the US, but also around the world?
Yeah. Here, from the experience we have to build something with core features. And so for DDP, that's very clear. We need a solution to calculate the tax and duties, communicate that to our origin, and we need a solution for the financial settlement of those tax and duties. That's the two services we have to bring. So the way I see it is to have something standard enough that can be applied across the board on the network, but flexible enough so that it can be adapted to regional or local needs.
Yes.
Because I know it's going to work like that. Mm-hmm. We will have some constraint in certain destinations, depending how they want to settle with their customs. Sometimes the post will get involved, sometimes not. We will have constraint regarding the currencies that will be used for that. So we need to be as open as possible and as flexible as possible with the solution. So in the design that we have discussed, for example, this week, I think we have that pretty much in mind, to leave doors open for this flexibility.
Yeah, I think I can see the instance where we might both be working with a post. We may be offering these advanced options for posts to help collect duties and taxes at checkout or in an app on Shopify, or we may be working with them with an API and even helping to collect those duties. But it can still use the UPU software for, even though we might be working with the post for some of the remittance and the duty movement, the UPU software is still going to allow for making sure the duties are calculated at the counter or inside of CDS and using that software. But what I like, and I'm excited about what the UPU has, which is the ability to use your financial settlement system as well, right? To possibly for these posts that can just pay through your own, system. And then that simplifies things a lot for posts. And
correct.
Especially if they want to offer DDP to not just the United States, they want to offer it around the world. One centralized, source to pay seems like it makes a lot of sense.
Correct, and it's something that has been also a success at the UPU is this clearinghouse that we operate, which is used today mostly for settling accounts between posts, between themselves. But it has been designed from the start to hook other stakeholders. And so it can be you as a provider, it can be directly the customs, if that makes sense. And again, we will not impose anything here. It will be just one of the settlement options that we are going to propose to the postal network.
Yeah, and I think that's where you nailed it with the two. You got to be able to collect the duties and taxes at origin and be able to settle, and then it all has to be really easy for all the posts to adopt and be part of this. And that's where it sounds like you've got a number of solutions that hundreds of posts are using, to where, do you think the reality of this is that posts could be part of a DDP network in the next, is it months? Is it years? Is it, how far out are we talking here for this to start becoming a DDP network that's really meaningful?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to predict because there's two components to this answer. That's what we can do as technical providers, working jointly, for example, together. And this, I think, we can go very quick. From the draft design we have this week, we have identified that we can make it work with not so many change in our respective technologies. So this, I'm very confident that we are talking about weeks/months to make that happen.
Yep.
After the adoption from the post is another story, because they will still have their own integration work. Some of them is not great, the integration work, because they use our system isolated from any other technology. So that's okay. They upgrade their version and they have it. But some of them use our technology integrated with other local IT systems.
Yes.
And in that case,
it'll be a little more effort.
That's the story of launching a project, etc.
Are those usually bigger countries in those cases, or is it kind of a mixed bag?
It's a mix.
Okay.
I would say it's a mix. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if they've chosen to do that, they probably have the teams that have built integration. So they have a team that, hopefully can start doing some implementation.
And we are back to the compliance versus opportunity story. If they see that as an opportunity, they will put the resource necessary to make it happen quick.
Yeah.
If they see that more as a burden and only a compliance issue.
Yeah. How cool would it be as a Post if you roll this out, you spend the time and effort, there's going to be some cost, you're, begrudgingly saying, all right, I've got to rush here because US has made some changes. And then all of a sudden you go to your customer base and you say, look, we have now duties and taxes paid into the United States at possibly a lower cost or a different, different benefits than what can happen in the commercial stream. And they're starting to win business. And then they're saying, oh, yes, and we can do it to this destination and this destination and this destination because that, as that accumulates, right? Like there takes you need two cooperating parties to have DDP in postal. You need the exporting party to be able to flag it as needed, right? So the importing party knows. They need the importing party able to support DDP inbound. So I think out of the gate, US is, I think, going to be ready, which is what we're trying, and working with the UPU on. And then there's other countries that are ready, but not all of them. And it's on the other side. So there will be some adoption for other countries to offer DDP into the country. But I think that the United States is such a big market that it will hopefully accelerate some of the DDP needs that the world's needed for a long time. So I'm trying to look at this as from the silver lining, aspect of it, that these are changes that could push the Post really into, it could be a massive opportunity for them. Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, it's usually how it works. You have a leading Post at one point that drives a change that gets adopted in other countries. That's what will happen. That's pretty clear. And okay, the US is coming fast, but we know for a fact that Europe has already announced that they will also remove the de minimis.
Yeah.
So
right.
So the story will
actually talk a little bit more about that. Because now Americans, if they're listening to this,
and
they made it this long. What is Europe doing, and how will that impact American retailers that are selling into Europe in the future?
Yeah. So I don't have the exact figures and date in mind, so I don't want to say something stupid here, but I know that they have announced that the de minimis will be removed, I think, by 29 maximum, and it could be earlier. So yes, they gave a little bit more time for the other country to adapt. That's clear, but it's coming.
So nice.
It's coming.
Yeah.
And so, we're talking about 27 countries that, again, will need a DDP solution for sure.
Yes.
For inbound.
Yeah, it seems like that's the trend, especially in the low value shipment space. Is countries want to collect tariffs. They want to remove de minimis. They're looking for ways to do that, and they're also looking for ways to eliminate that DDU experience by putting the burden on the foreign sellers, for example, in e-commerce. That's where you have IOS and the UK and Australia and New Zealand and others that are putting the burden on the seller to make sure all the duties and taxes are collected at checkout. And then naturally, the EU is looking at it still like we need to get our duties as well. And I've been following some of that as well. And I think your timelines are right. Here in the next couple of years, that's going to change. So the US is actually kind of behind the eight ball compared to the rest of the world when it comes to lowering de minimis and trying to create the right experience for shoppers.
We're gonna have to leapfrog though, because we have to make a change like this with a market the size of the US. We have to get this right, and getting it wrong can be very problematic. As we saw with the first executive order, there was the hope to be able to do this. It caused some pain. Administration probably knew that they were going to cause some pain. Decided, all right, let's hold off. But we anticipate this is going to get very interesting very soon for Posts and for the UPU. So we're looking forward to over the next today just workshopping more with you, and but really appreciate you coming on the podcast. It was one of the first things we asked when we said you're coming to town. Like, let's get David on a podcast, and this has actually been really interesting.
It's been awesome.
Well, thank you. Hey. It's been a pleasure to be here and working with you.
All right. Well, great.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.